This concludes our introduction to the C# programming language. We've seen that C# is just one of the many languages that you can use to target the .NET platform and write applications that run on top of .NET. We also talked that there are languages like F# and Visual Basic and Iron Ruby and Iron Python, but it's C# that has a syntax that is very similar to C++ and Java. So if you've come from a C++ background or a Java background, the syntax with the semicolons and the curly braces and using a dot to invoke a method, that should all be very similar, very familiar to what you've done in the past. I demonstrated how C# is a strongly typed language. Whenever you declare a variable that's going to hold a value, you need to declare the type of that variable. And then the C# compiler is always going to be checking to make sure you perform legal operations on that type and that you're not trying to assign incompatible types. We talked briefly about the difference between statements and expressions and how statements end with a semicolon while expressions are used to produce values. Sometimes an expression is just a literal value, like the number 5 or the string hello. Other times you can use an expression in combination with an operator to produce a new value and do something like addition or test for equality. Finally, we saw how assembly references are how you gain access to additional functionality that someone else has written and packaged into an assembly. So an assembly is a container. It has types inside of there. It has compiled code inside of that assembly. And if you want to be able to use that in your application, one way to do that, the most common way to do that, is to directly add an assembly reference to that file.